Hello, welcome back to another episode of the AAPI Leadership Lab brought to you by NAP Las Vegas. Today, our special guest is LeShelle Kaul. She is the owner and operator of End Goal here in Las Vegas.
Hello,
welcome,
thank you
LeShelle.
for having me.
So we are going to jump right in. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey. First, we're in Las Vegas, so it would be good to know, are you from here? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? What was life like growing up as LeShelle?
I was not born here. I was actually born in Norfolk, Virginia. So that is where my dad actually or immigrated from in the Philippines. His dad was in the military. So then he moved out there, and that's where I was born. And then we moved to California. And from California, my parents moved to Las Vegas when I was just about, let's say, 5 years old. We moved to Las Vegas. So I started, actually, fifth grade. That's when I moved to Las Vegas. And so I pretty much grew up here. I went to elementary school all the way to college here. And my parents was in the construction business. My mom is an architect, and my dad is an engineer, a civil engineer. So they pretty much built the town. And we just started here, and I love it. Before, I didn't love it so much because we didn't have that great of a community. It was really just desert and casinos. And it's grown so much. I feel like this is home. And whenever I'm away from Vegas, it's nice to, go on vacations. But when I'm in the airplane and I see our strip lights, I have that, okay, this is home. I feel like I can never really leave this place. So I love it so much.
Nice. Just curious. So, what part of California were you in, and how long were you in Virginia? So, you were born in Virginia. Did you move right
So
away?
I was born in Virginia, and we moved from Virginia to California when I was 3.
Okay.
For California, I lived in San Diego for a little bit because that's where my mom's parents from the Philippines, they immigrated there. And then from there, we moved to Central, so like Fresno, California. You know where there is. Near the stinky part of California.
Coalinga, Delano.
Yeah. So we were in Fresno for just a couple years. We weren't there for very long, and then we made Las Vegas our home.
Nice. And so a little bit about your parents. So they're sound very non-traditional, right? Because most Filipino parents are like, well, the engineer maybe. Nurses. My mom's a nurse.
Yeah.
my dad's an engineer. So like very traditional Filipino parents. But your mom, you said, is an architect, right? So like what was it like when growing up with an engineer and an architect? But then also you mentioned this earlier in Vegas, the Filipino community, maybe the Asian American community was pretty small here. So what was that like growing up?
Yeah. So my parents, they are definitely non-traditional. Like I feel like, especially my mom, I look up to her so much because, especially in architecture, it wasn't back in the day. It wasn't female dominated. It was really all male dominated. But she loved it. It was her passion. Buildings, drawing. I always grew up with her sketching. So she was very creative, and so is my dad. My dad is an amazing artist. He can paint. He would do murals for our walls when we were growing up. So they were both very creative, and they go hand in hand when they work. And it's funny because, I mean, I can go on and on about their love story, but they've known each other since birth, pretty much. They were next door neighbors. Wow. And they shared the same passion of creating and building and starting on paper and then seeing it come to life. And so when growing up here, we would go to the sites. My mom she designed my elementary school. So they're like
Wow.
pioneers here, really when Vegas boomed, and they made such a great network within themselves, within the construction and engineering architectural community. It's pretty small. Vegas is a big city, but it's a small city, so it's really
Right.
knit. And it's really cool to see now, like my friends who are engineers in architecture that went to UNLV say that they know my parents, say that they were their mentors or they've seen them in meetings. So it's
That's cool.
it's really cool to see that. And growing up, just passing by things, and my mom and dad talking about the structure, talking about what mistakes was made, talking about different materials in the buildings, um, doing the take your daughter to work day, and like that. Those were core memories for me, being
Yeah.
and seeing my parents just start with nothing and then now come to Las Vegas, and they have their own community, and within just structural stuff in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like my
So
dad would just come and like he'll just be like, "Oh yeah, I designed that parking lot," or "I'm working on I'm I'm working on the new what was it, the airline or airport." So it's like really cool to see that.
yeah, they're definitely leaving their mark here in town for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So tell me a little bit about what it was like, because the second part of the question is also, you were here during the expansion of Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and so uh, what was the Filipino American slash Asian American experience growing up here when the population was much smaller, and then as you grew up, you kind of saw that population grow?
Yeah, so we grew up, well, I grew up in Summerlin, so that is towards the northwest South Lake area. So it was very,
Hmm.
very new. There was nothing. It was really completely desert. Like now we're in the southwest. We only had one grocery store. Summerlin was the prominent, I guess, community uh, back in the day, 20 plus years ago. And schools were being built,
Hmm.
and the community was primarily, I would say, white. So in that, in my school, there wasn't too much of a Filipino Asian presence. So I had a couple Filipino friends, but majority were white. And it, I wouldn't say it was totally hard. I think like when you're young, you're just trying to find yourself and fit in, where you can and when you can. So when I did
Hmm.
find my Filipino compadres um, in high school, like it was clicky. I could admit that. Like the Asians would hang out in one area, and then like the jocks and whites and it was clicky in the high
Yeah.
school that I went to. But I feel like because I've grown up here since elementary school, I was friends with pretty primarily everyone, and
Hmm.
took I loved community outreach and volunteering. So I was also involved in leadership, student council, and stuff like that. So I was friendly with everybody, but I would say it was difficult to explain what being a Filipino was to a lot of people, because back then, I mean, I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. Filipino wasn't a culture people knew. It
Right.
was, are you Chinese or Japanese? That was pretty much it. And I'm like, I'm Filipino, and they're like, what's that? And like,
Yeah.
so it was very like, not really popular or familiar, but even in California when where I grew up in Fresno, that there wasn't many. So and kids didn't really know what Filipino was or what culture that was. So when we had our birthday parties and I invited my friends who were not Filipino and they had lumpia for the first time, their life changed. So when they had ube or something, dessert of our culture, Filipino spaghetti, pancit, adobo, then they would all, everybody was welcome to my house. So when they had that, they were just like, oh, okay, this is a cool culture. But I mean, my parents, they had a good balance because my dad primarily grew up in Virginia or in the East Coast, like Georgia, Virginia. So if you were to talk to him with your eyes closed, you'd think that he's a white guy. He doesn't have a Filipino accent. But my mom, on the other hand, she's more traditional Filipino, and where our cultures were kind of came from my mom's side. So learning Tagalog, learning our traditions, being a Catholic, that was all mom. But dad was very more American. And so talking to him was easier because he kind of understood.
Yeah.
And he was the nurturer. It's opposite. Yeah. It's opposite. My mom was more of the stern, quiet, graceful but quiet. And then if she was mad, she was mad, and she would speak her mind. But dad was more of come here and give me a hug. I love you. He'd say, I love you. He would apologize if he, made a mistake. So it was very interesting because I don't realize it until I'm older, when I'm like, oh, okay, their roles were really kind of different from the norm.
Yeah. So pivoting a little bit, we can talk a ton about your family's impact.
Yeah.
I guess, but we're talking about you today. So growing up as a kid, what was the dream? So as little LeShelle growing up around this creative household, what was your dream as a kid?
I think I've always wanted to start something of my own. But I didn't know really what that was until I was way older. But I dabbled into a lot of things. But primarily, I loved what my parents did, but I felt like I wanted to, my strength was just talking to people. I couldn't be in a desk and on the computer. That's something I knew I didn't want to do. So I was like, okay, well, what about, and I loved caring for people. So I was like, okay, what about healthcare? What about nursing or being a doctor or optometry? So for the longest time, my dream was to become an optometrist. And I've done that. I even went to school for it. And I realized that it wasn't something I wanted. But the little girl in me knew my strength was helping people, talking to people, and just being there. As a confident, I feel like that's one of my strengths, is just a good listener and someone who's empathetic, and someone who you could trust with whatever you have in your mind, and I will give you the best advice I can, or just be here to listen. So I felt like that was something I knew I wanted to do. I just didn't know what that was going to be, because with optometry, I felt like it was great. I was connecting to people, but I was only seeing patients for 15 minutes at a time, and I would have to see 40 to 50 patients a day, and it wasn't really a connection, and it was just one or two or three. Here's the glasses, here's your contacts, prescription. Let me adjust your glasses for you. You know, it was just kind of like that. It wasn't as personable as I thought being in the healthcare or in the being an optometrist would be. So I actually, am I still talking as a kid, or should I like go on?
Well, the thing I was gonna roll us
Sorry.
into is like, so
Yeah.
so why end goal? Like, what took you down this path?
Yeah. So, um, while I was doing optometry, I was also in studying for my master's because I was like, okay, I know I want to help people. Like, what else can I do? And my optometry mentor at the time, like my really good friend Perla, she was like, why don't you just try, you know, healthcare administration? Maybe you can find your way in healthcare, because you know you hear that healthcare, there's never really a job shortage.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from my parents that with a recession, if there's no money coming into the government, you don't have a job, you get laid off. So I knew, okay, I was like, well, I want, you know, a job that is stable and has good income. Plus, I want to be able to talk to people. Let's try healthcare. And during that time, I was kind of at my lowest, going through a really bad breakup. Um, you know, you're growing up, you're figuring out yourself. I was like in my late 20s, and I wanted to make a change in my life. So my good friend and he was also my patient in optometry while I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, well, why don't I, you know, like, let's get your mental clear, and that helps with working out, and that helps with doing that, taking care of your body. So let's try working out. I'll be your personal trainer. So like I was like, okay, I'm down. Like let's 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 do this. I want to look great, you know, that revenge body. So I downloaded an app, we went to the gym, and he's like, okay, well, you can work out as many, you know, hours and as many days, like every day, but if you don't get your nutrition right, you're not going to see results. So he taught me how to count, my calories, my macros, and he gave me this like PDF of like 20 pages of recipes. And he's like, you have to meal prep. And I'm like, all I know how to make or cook is rice. Like, I don't really cook. I eat my mom's food. And he was like, well, you're going to have to learn because you can't just eat, you know, your mom's food all the time. We have to like be consistent with your health, and your food intake. So I was like, okay. So I started off with one recipe, and then I was like, oh, this isn't bad. And then I started off with the next. And then I had all of these Tupperwares of just meal prep. And my mom saw that, and she was like, wait, like, can you do meal prep for me? And then, so I started meal prepping for her. And then my coworker saw it. And then they're like, can you start meal prepping for me? And my boss saw it. And he was like, can you start meal prepping for me and my wife? And it just kind of like snowballed where I was meal prepping for my mom, her coworkers, my coworkers, and my boss. And I was doing that
Wow.
every weekend, plus, you know, going to school and working out. And I found this rhythm that I was like, oh my, I have a new passion, and I think it's cooking. I love, like, you know, making it look nice, and it's very therapeutic because you're just
Mm-hmm.
zoned in on cooking. You're not thinking about anything else. Same with working out, and so that's kind of how it spiraled. And then I just kept doing it, and I was at that time where I was graduating from uh, graduating from ASU for my master's, and then everyone else was graduating from their master's, and then we were all starting our big girl jobs. And then my friends who became nurses, doctors, they're like, can you meal prep for us? Because we really don't have time to cook. So then it just became like, okay, 30 meals a weekend in my little apartment to like 80 to like 150. And I was like, okay, like this is great, but I don't have my weekends. I
Yeah, yeah.
need so it's kind of how it started.
Ah. So that when was this? What year was this? And when
So
did End
this,
Goal?
I would say 2015 to 2017.
And then when did the idea of End Goal start?
So End Goal was actually like it. It's funny because we like a group of my friends. We would all meet up at my friend Matt's condo, and we would just brainstorm because him, and my husband at the time we were just friends. Like we've been friends for a long time, and we were friends at that time. We all started our jobs, but we're like, we want a side hustle. What side hustle can we start? And I took kind of a break from meal prep because I was also starting another job, and I wanted to focus on that. And it came into light again where I was like, I really loved doing it. I want to start it back up again. And this was around 2018. And we
Mhm.
were just bouncing off ideas. Like they were talking about a boba machine. And and they were talking about real estate. And then they were talking, but their main thing was vending machines and like healthy vending machines. And so
Mhm.
that was my their project. So they were doing vending machines, and I was like, well, I want to do my own project too, and I want to come back to either doing like acai bowls or meal prep. And I was like, well, acai bowls will be kind of hard because I don't have like you'd have to serve it fresh.
Right.
With meal prep, I already know how to do that. And then we were I think we were playing, I don't know, I think it was beer pong, to be honest, at the time, brainstorming ideas for my meal prep company. And during that time, um, the Golden Knights were huge because we just started the team.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I want something like Vegas born. I want something like, and that's kind of how we got the colors like gold, black, and silver and white. And I was like, I kind of want to play on that idea because it's really inspiring and really cool that we have our own team now.
Yeah.
And then so my husband was like, what about, and we were just like playing, and he's like, what about End Goal? Because it's kind of like plays with like, you know, uh, like kind of like hockey where you're scoring a goal, but then also like you're trying to be healthy and your end goal is to always, succeed in that where you're healthy, mind, body, spirit. And
Mhm.
maybe you can encompass that. And I was like, I love that. Let's do it. So end goal is born. And then that's how it's funny, like going through my notes on my phone and like scrolling down to like 2018 with like ideas of names and stuff, and I just like circled End Goal, and I was like, yes, this is the name. So that's how
Nice.
it began. Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about. So we talked a little bit about like your desire to help and like provide service to people and help people where you can. So what is the mission for End Goal? Like if and what is the future of End Goal?
Yeah, so I feel like our mission really is to just be the the go-to place where you could feel welcomed, no judgment. There's a lot of companies out there um, who don't make their company feel like home, and that's, I feel like, my personality is very warm, and I want that to showcase in our business and in our product. So our mission is connection. It's providing services easy and convenient, but also tasting good. and community synergy. I feel like that is one thing we could say we stand out compared to a lot of other meal prep or healthy businesses here in town. Is you'll see us in the community. You'll see us in events. You'll see us in run clubs. You'll see us in mom clubs. You'll see us everywhere where they invite us, and we want to make connection. And that is one thing, because I love community, I love connection, and that's one thing I want to bring out and make sure that we always have that as part of our mission.
So what taking it back full circle, so what part did your background, your parents, your childhood, what part did that play in starting End Goal and the mission of End Goal?
I think my parents have always instilled to be friendly and to everybody, and case no judgment with anyone, always help when you can. And I think that's part of the Filipino culture as well, is we will take you and we will embrace you and hold you. And I feel like we're just like the best host. Like that is what I love doing. I love taking people into my care, and I love hosting them, and that's how I feel like I carry that with everything I do and with my business. And I feel like the little girl in me would definitely be proud of that, because I felt like I stayed true to myself. And with this business, it can be cutthroat, where you don't know who has your best interest, and you always want to see the good. And that's something that I still have to work on, is like, really trusting your gut and what people's real, motives are. But I will always be, open and honest and friendly and caring to everybody. So I feel like that is the one thing I've learned from my parents is to always carry that kindness.
Yeah. It's interesting because I just came back from the Philippines. I was there for 3 weeks with the family, and it's that like mabuhay barkada mindset, right? Where like if you go to the Philippines, and what a lot of people say is what they love is like everybody's smiling, like everybody has a smile on their face, and no matter what they have, as much or as little they have to offer, they will offer it.
Yes.
And I love that, and then that you're incorporating that kind of community spirit into your business.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny because it's like I was just talking to my friends about, like, sometimes and I was talking to this about my aunts and my mom, is like, sometimes when they say things like, oh, like you got fat, it's like more of a compliment, because it's like, oh, because you don't eat, a lot of people don't have the resources to eat well in the Philippines. So when they say that, it's like a compliment. So back then I was like, Mom, like, are you saying I got fat? But but it's really like it can be, it can be toxic too. But I'm just saying, like, it's to them, to a lot of people in the Philippines, it's actually like a compliment. And like when they're saying, I catch myself doing this too. Like every time someone comes to my house and we have food, eat now, eat now. It's like that's kind of just, it's just subconscious. You don't even think about it, but that's how you grew up, and so that's how you welcome people, is like by food. So it kind of ties well with that as well. So
yeah, you can tell a lot about the Philippine experience by the food and the community. So now wanting to get into some of the lessons you've learned. So knowing what you know now and all the stuff that you've been through the optometry school, the masters, like the beer pong, all the different ideas. What advice would you give your younger self, or anyone who's out there, maybe who doesn't necessarily know what they want to do yet?
I I would always say like find your passion, but that's kind of hard when you don't know what you don't know. So you have to try everything to figure it out, because if you stay stuck in your head, and then you're kind of like at a paralysis and you don't end up doing it. So I would just say don't you're not living if you're not like if you don't take that risk. So it's either you can fail, but it's okay, because that's the beauty of life is failing
Mhm.
and then learning. So yeah, it's just don't be afraid, and you're gonna learn that's the beauty of it, is learning and failing and crying about it, but then getting back up and uh, just going for it. I feel like a lot of people, they kind of just get stuck with the ideas, and they have amazing ideas, but then the fear of just executing it is what's holding them back. So yeah, I would just say like to find your passion, you have to try
Mhm.
everything, and process of elimination, and it's okay to quit. It's okay if you change, and evolve. You evolve as a person. I evolved. I can't even count how many times. So to get where I am now, I don't think my 5-year-old self would be like, yeah, I think I want to cook and own a meal prep company. That's not how life works. It's
Mhm.
really okay. I think I like this. I'm gonna try it. I don't think I like this. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to go for it. And then once you figure out, like, I really like this, I really like um, how this makes me feel, how this makes other people feel. I think if you become your best self while doing it, then you've hit the jackpot. I think, like, and other people around you feel that energy, then I think that is, the ultimate end goal.
Yeah, way to bring it full circle. A lot of things to unpack in there, and I want to like summarize and also give kind of my 2 cents too. Right? There's
Mhm.
this quote that I love from Oprah about failure, and the quote is, "Failure is just the world telling you to do something different." And if you take it that way, as like failure is not this big monumental like negative thing that happens, it's just the
Mhm.
world telling you to do something different. If you just take that lighter approach to it, it makes life much easier, because you're like, okay, so this didn't work, okay, life's just telling me to do something else, right?
Yeah.
And I love that about our lives. And then also, um to your point, life is really short, but we evolve over time. Like our values change. So like the 20-year-old Rico valued like friends, partying, hanging out, like that kind of thing, right? But
Yeah.
like, and then the 30-year-old Rico valued like career and growth and development, that kind of stuff. And now the 40-year-old Rico values family, time off, like things
Yeah,
like that, right? So like,
exactly.
and there's
Exactly.
it's naive to think, maybe there are, but it's naive to think there's one career path that's going to evolve with you through all of those things and
Hmm.
stay right aligned with all your values. And
Exactly.
so like different things are great for different stages of life, and we're only here for a short amount of time. If you think about how long the world's been around, we're like not even a drop in the bucket. And so like
Exactly.
how do we make the most of it and find our end goal and kind of be happy and enjoy our time here?
Hmm.
Because what is
Yeah,
it for?
exactly. Like, what are you doing it for if you don't feel fulfilled? And right now, end goal makes me feel fulfilled along with my family. And I feel like the future, I mean, I'm in the middle of evolving. I'm turning 40 soon, and I feel like my 40-year-old self is way different from where I was when I first started end goal, and my priorities. So yeah, it's life is crazy in that way, where you think you're one version of yourself, and then time flies, and you're
Yeah.
like, you wake up and you're like, is this really what I want? and you're like, okay, what you're always on to the next goal, and you're just like, okay, now that I'm here and now that I've made it here, what's next? And that's like the exciting part of it
Mm-hmm.
is building that again, and then and hopefully along the way, um, building that community, building your group of people who share that same energy and who can and motivate you and be there for you during those times where you're evolving. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great thing about building your own thing is it can grow and evolve as you grow and evolve.
yeah.
Um, so kind of winding down for people who want to have the end goal experience, how can they find you? Where can they find you? Like, where can they follow you? Like, how can they experience end goal from community events, food,
Yeah,
location? What's the best
yeah.
way?
So we are located, we have our storefront here. That's where I'm at. We are located off of Windmill and Bermuda. So 500 East Windmill Lane, suite number 175. You'll see our big sign up front. and we also have our website where you can check us out and order endgoal.win. Our socials is endgoal meal prep, and you can follow us and follow our journey there. And yeah, that's pretty
And
much where we'll
do you
be.
you say you do a lot of community events? So like, what are some of the
Yes.
community events that either coming up or ones that you do on the regular that people can find
Yeah,
you
so
at?
this is exciting. So we actually have our first event of the year here at our store. It's called Thrift and Thrive.
Mm,
And we have a bunch of curators. They're a bunch of great guys who actually collect vintage and upcycled clothing, collectibles, like really cool treasures. And they're going to set up here July 18th from 12 to noon. So that's our big event here in store. We're going to have button making. It's a whole family affair too. You can bring
nice.
your kids. Also, like planter painting. So, and then we're also going to have other local vendors here. We're going to have mango sago as our
Oh,
dessert here because I know it's going to be hot and it's going
yeah.
to have protein in it. And all of our stuff is going to be on sale that day, and we're going to do raffles and giveaways. So it's going to be a really fun day. And then as far as other events, we're going to be part of Raw Fitness boot camp. So that's going to be also in the morning of July 18th, and then again July, I believe, 24th.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we'll have a poster of like our events on. I can't think of all of them right now,
Yeah.
but I know our big one is coming up on July 18th.
And nice. And if they follow you on Instagram and then go to your website, can they get all this information?
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Sweet. Okay. So one last thing, any last thoughts you'd like to leave with folks? Because the ideas being just an idea is a great one. Any
Yeah.
other last thoughts for folks before we wrap it up?
Um, I mean, I guess if for those who are also in the entrepreneur journey, as someone who doesn't come from an entrepreneurial family or comes from a traditional, you know, Asian household where it can be, not the greatest option or supported from family, I would just say, like, start small. You don't need anything elaborate. Um, if it is to be a content creator, if it is to make food, like I did, I just started with my own group of friends and evolved from there. But just to start, and it's okay if you don't know, because you learn as you go, and you'll be surprised, especially in Las Vegas. There are more people willing to help you, um, and just not being afraid to delegate and not being afraid to work with people who are actually smarter than you. That's like the best find
Mm-hmm.
is working and being in contact and networking with people who actually are willing to help. And more people are willing to help than to not. You'd be surprised. Like, we
Yeah.
have a great community of people. And Las Vegas, I think majority of the Vegas community is so helpful. And they're really, really supportive of small businesses. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to delegate when there's things that you're you know you can delegate to, and as long as you have the systems, as long as you have like what you want exactly in mind, um, hire those out
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
can focus on what
Yeah.
you need to do. So I think that's like, I mean, there's a lot there, but I think that's like the main thing
Well, yeah. Well,
is.
to kind of synthesize like all the things that we've learned today, was one is like ideas are cheap, and
Mhm,
execution is like really where your money is made, and failure is just move on to the next, right?
mhm,
And then don't be afraid to ask for help, because that I've learned that a lot in my career. If you don't ask for help, it's almost the old saying, "Closed mouth don't get fed," right?
mhm.
If you don't ask for help, nobody knows you need it.
Yeah,
And then more often than not, whether it's a Asian American community or even just American community, people are willing to help if you just ask,
yeah,
right? So like those are the things that are important to help you get your business started. And then yeah, delegation, like knowing what you are capable of and knowing when there's smarter people out there that you can just pay to do it for you. Like
yes.
that is also a huge, huge win. So if that's all they took away from this, I think that's a win. But also, knowing your family's impact in the community here, I think
Mhm.
also is a great eye opener, um, that your parents were literally involved in building Las Vegas. So that is super cool too.
Thank
Um,
you.
well, thank you, LeShelle, for taking the time. Remember, everyone, check out End Goal, endgoal.win, and then End Goal Meal Prep on the socials. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, LeShelle, for taking the time to be with us. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.